Okay, we are live. Cool. All right. So let's go ahead and get into this. We are talking about quarantine and breakups and how this whole situation might affect everything in the world moving forward, affect relationships specifically. Now, of course, we're all just kind of speculating on this because this is a very unprecedented situation that we're all going through. But we're just going to have to kind of fill in some blanks here. So, when this whole thing first got started, um, I wasn't really sure how this would all play out. I could see either this bring people like closer together in solidarity and let's get through this together sort of thing, or I could have seen it potentially going in a way where it just kind of tears a lot of relationships apart. And I think that there is a basis for both of those things happening. Now, again, we did do a video um, maybe a month ago now at this point on like the waves of divorce that were happening in China as they started to ease restrictions. I'm still being a little bit careful about how I talk about this because um, I have heard that YouTube has been sort of suppressing videos about the situation, if you know what I mean. Um, in the creator studio, they said that they're no longer doing that, but still, I'm not going to test it too much. So I'm going to be a little bit ambiguous about how I talk about some of these things, but I think you all know what I'm talking about. But anyway, as China started to ease the restrictions that people were having, there was a very big wave of divorces that were filed shortly afterwards. And it's just due to people spending like way too much time at home with one another, not doing the usual things that they do. And if you read the article that I linked to in that video, it was just really common mundane complaints like, oh, hey, we don't have enough money, there's like too much screen time, you're not spending enough time with the kids, you're not helping out enough with the housework, all that sort of stuff. And so this kind of really caused people to get under each other's skin and lead to a lot of breakups and things like that. And I do imagine that probably we are going to experience things like that in other parts of the world as well too, as things are relaxed a little bit and people are allowed to get back to some degree of whatever a normal life might look like. I know that at least in some places in the world, we are starting to inch towards easing restrictions. So we're just going to have to see how that happens, how that plays out. But I do know that there are also some people that have been able to grow closer together through this whole situation. And I know that a lot of times people are really concerned, especially if you want to get back together with your ex, you're concerned that, like, oh, if my ex is doing something with a rebound, if they're sharing some sort of experience with him, is that going to make their relationship stronger? People will often ask this sort of question, like, oh, if they spend the holidays together, is that going to make their relationship stronger? If they spend, their birthday with someone, is that going to make their relationship stronger? And my answer is not necessarily. Again, there's that one side of the coin where it's like, okay, if you spend a lot of time stuck with people together, having to experience sort of bland, mundane, day-to-day life at home without being able to go out and do things, it could lead to a lot of frustration and eventually a breakup. On the other side of the coin, I think if people are more conscious, if they are more emotionally aware of themselves, of other people, and if they are able to do many of the things that we've talked about in many of our videos, like focus on the present moment, focus on acceptance, focus on all of these sorts of things, really bringing high degrees of emotional awareness, emotional availability, and all of that, then potentially the relationship could grow stronger. But, if your ex is in a rebound relationship, chances are they are not very emotionally aware to begin with. We kind of go over that in our video series on rebound relationships. So, go ahead and check out the playlist that we have on that if that's something you want to learn more about. Another thing I see is that kind of the longer that this whole thing stretches on, the more it's going to have an effect on us as a society and a culture. If it's just like, okay, great, we're not going out there for like a month or two or something, okay, yeah, we can get back to like life as usual without it having a major impact on how we see ourselves in society. I mean, yeah, there's going to be like an economic impact for sure. That's already baked in the cake. But at least in terms of how we interact with one another, that's not going to change too much. But I think the longer this stretches on, it's going to cause more and more and more people to do things like question their values, question what it is they want for themselves, question the direction they want to take their lives in. You know, like before this whole thing got warmed up and started here, people were doing all kinds of like crazy things, getting into rebound relationships, doing getting together with people just because they didn't want to be alone and all that sort of stuff. And sure, if we just go through this short period where we're locked away and then we come out, yeah, that might continue on. But kind of if this stretches out longer, more and more people are going to start to think about it, and they're going to be like, well, I don't just want to be in a relationship with anyone just to tick the box. I want to be in a relationship with someone that I actually care about. And God forbid, like this whole thing comes back in the autumn, and it's like we need to isolate ourselves again. People are going to start to think about like, okay, well, who is it I want to be isolated with? Is it with just someone who's going to get under my skin, or is it going to be with someone who I actually want to be with, somebody who actually can grow closer together with and grow stronger together with? I think it's going to have it's going to cause people to have a bigger perspective, especially the longer that it drags on for. Again, if it's just going on for a short period of time, wherever you may happen to live, and you're only limited in what you can do for a short window of time, then okay, it's just like cool. It's like a week or two off that I wasn't able to go out and do things. But as it starts to fade, as the newness of it starts to fade away and it stretches on to like a month, 2 months, maybe even 3 months, that's kind of what they're talking about here in Washington State where I live. At least I've been working from home and doing all that for 10 weeks now as of today. But it looks like it's going to be going on for at least till the end of the month here, at least until we start to move on to what they're calling phase 2 in our multi-phase reopening. But it's going to cause people to have a bigger perspective. It's going to cause people to think about what they want in their lives. I know that my wife and I have been kind of rethinking some things that we want in our lives. We're not going to break up with one another or anything. At least I hope not. She has not given me any indication that she wants to leave me. But we're thinking about like where we want to live. I think we want to be closer to nature, out of the city. Kind of what we want to do with our time, hobbies and things like that. And unfortunately, like I do see a lot of people as they're coming out of this having a lot of breakups as they do start to reevaluate what they want for their lives. There might be breakups that come as the result of petty things like chores and stress and money and all that stuff, as we may have seen in China. But I think there's also going to be a lot of people that are going to be breaking up just because they've decided like, okay, this is like my life, and I don't just want to be kind of messing around and getting by. I want to actually have a better life, and so I want to live that life with the people that I actually want to be with. So I do see there being a wave of breakups that comes following all of this. I've yet to actually talk to anybody who's actually broken up because of the lockdowns and everything like that. Most people that I talk to have breakups that happened before things started to get really bad. A couple people have had breakups that were kind of getting set up to play out anyway, but then they broke up as all of this was unfolding. But I do think that we are going to start to see some more breakups moving forward. And if your ex is in a rebound relationship, chances are it may be under a lot of stress right now. So those are some things that I am seeing in the near future. That being said, let's go ahead and jump into some questions and see if anyone has anything they'd like to talk about today. Just to let you know, we do have our email newsletter. If you are not already signed up, there's a link to that in the description box for this video. you're more than welcome to sign up. And also, give this video a thumbs up. Helps me out. All right, so let's see. People are saying hello. Joey says never been on Clay's live stream. LOL. Yeah, well, welcome. I just realized I forgot to plug in my microphone, so I'm gonna do that. So excuse me if my audio changes here suddenly. Okay, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, looks like it's working. Okay, that probably sounds better.